Welcome. This is a production brought to you by the Idaho Commission on Aging. This presentation is part of the Disease Prevention and Health Promotion Program and is facilitated by Aaron Olson. Also presented in partnership with the following.
It's a beautiful afternoon in the Gem State. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Idaho Commission on Aging's Stay Safe, Recognize and Remove Trip Hazards at Home seminar. We know, as always, it's an extremely busy time of year for everyone. We want to extend our appreciation for your taking the time, or should I say investing the time, to learn a little bit more about falls and falls prevention, which is an extremely important topic, as you will learn very soon. We recognize that it's really important to feel safe at home. I think we can all agree on that. So last year we prepared this seminar, and this is the second year that we are presenting it. We have a brand new presenter who will bring us all kinds of new information. So it's a new presenter with new content, and we think you will enjoy it. You know, it really is a great day to learn to be falls free. As the leading cause of accidental death and injury in adults over age 65, which is 1 out of 3 older Idahoans, we feel it's extremely important to be able to present this information to you today. My name is Aaron Olson. I am the program specialist that is thrilled to be able to manage the Disease Prevention and Health Promotion Program for the Idaho Commission on Aging. We provide services for older Idahoans, their families, their caregivers, as well as people over age 18 with disabilities. I also coordinate Idaho's Aging and Disability Resource Center, or ADRC, which provides one-stop assistance for people needing long-term assistance with LTSSs, or long-term services and supports. These programs are funded through the Administration for Community Living and the National Council on Aging. They are also celebrating Falls Prevention Week, but here in Idaho, we think it's so important to talk about falls that we are dedicating an entire month to teaching people about falls and falls prevention. Why? Because falls cause such significant injury and pain, physical, emotional, and social, including community and state impacts, that we want to be able to provide information that you can use to prevent falls for yourself, your family, your caregivers, and your community. Now, I have participated in enough seminars and webinars and online meetings in my life that I know the first question that always comes up that everybody wants to know is, can I have a copy of the slides? Well, we have really good news for you. Not only will the PowerPoint slides be made available on our website, so will our resource guide and the seminar recording. The resource guide is an important downloadable guide that has all kinds of extra information that we just couldn't fit into the amount of time we had here, and also because it's hard to write down all of those references that we give you. So make sure you go to our http://aging.idaho.gov/falls webpage, and there you will find links to all of these resources and more. Now, I am a curious person. As they say, curiosity killed the cat, but so far I think it's kind of fun to be curious. You get to learn lots of things. Since you may be too, we wanted to let you know what topics we're going to be covering and discussing today. I will start with a very brief overview of what falls are and why we care about them. After that, we'll be joined by Mike Rice. Mike's going to go over rugs, slippery surfaces, bathrooms, lighting and stairs, unforeseen hazards from home modifications, furniture, and even some tips about our pets. We'll finish off with a little chat and some Q&A. If y'all are ready, let's go. In today's seminar, we're focusing on trip hazards at home. In our Why Falls Matter seminar, we go into the details about what falls are, what can cause them, and how to prevent them. Please review that seminar recording from our website or from our YouTube channel. Today, we need to know just a little bit about falls so that we can discuss how to recognize and remove trip hazards in our homes. So, without further ado, here's a brief primer on falls. If I were to ask all of you what a fall is, I'd probably get as many responses as there are the number of you. People definitely have different ideas about what constitutes a fall. Now, this is partly because no one wants to admit that they've fallen. This is especially true in older adults. They worry that if they admit to falling, people will take away their independence and not let them do the things that they like to do. So to make sure that we're all using the same definition of falls, I thought I would give us the official definition, at least for today. So our definition for today is unintentionally moving downward, typically, rapidly, and freely without control from a higher to a lower level. The important parts of that definition include that it happens unexpectedly. We did not intend to fall. We did not intend to end up where we did. Next, we have to remember that it's always downward, according to gravity. Now, on Earth, we are unable to fall up. Perhaps when we return to the moon or to Mars, we can then talk about some other options. But for now, we need to remember that we are always going to be falling down. Finally, in one way or another, we end up lower than we were before. So we don't have to fall to the ground or to the floor necessarily. We can fall onto a couch or a table. We can also fall into a wall. If we think about that, we're standing upright, we're walking, we trip on something, and all of a sudden we reach out, the wall catches us, but we are definitely a little bit lower than we were when we were standing fully upright. Just remember, if we started off higher than we ended up, it counts. Falling is not planned, and we don't have control over it. Generally speaking, that is. There are things we can do that will help us prevent falls from happening. There are also some things that we can do that allow us to kind of intervene. If we start to trip or slip, we can do some things that will prevent that from becoming a fall. Slips and trips aren't good, but they are definitely better than a full fall. Our Simple Steps and Why Falls Matter seminars can offer some strategies and more depth than we give you here. They, of course, are available on the website, http://aging.idaho.gov/falls. Now that we know how to define a fall, we can better communicate with others about what a fall is, whether we've had one or not. We are investing an entire month talking about falls because they are too common and cause an incredible amount of pain, inconvenience, turmoil, and money. There are a lot of statistics out there, but here are just a few pieces of information to get us started. Number one, falls increase as we age. In Idaho, 1 in 3 older adults fall at least once each year. That's higher than the national average, which is 1 in 4. Falls are the #1 cause of accidental injury and death in people over age 65. That statistic alone should be enough to make us want to take notice and do something about it. More facts and stats like this are available both on the website and in the resource guide. The good, no, actually the fantastic news is that we can change these numbers. We like to say that all falls are preventable because they are, as long as we know what our falls risk is, what hazards we may be confronted with, and how to remove or reduce or avoid those hazards. Some of us may be familiar with the adage, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That reminds us of what should be the obvious. Avoiding falls is the key. So let's start learning how we can do that. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you Mike Rice, our trip hazards expert and presenter for the rest of our day. Mike's formal education directly relates to his work. He earned 2 master's degrees. One is in public health, and the other is in sports and exercise studies. If that isn't enough, Mike is also a certified strength and conditioning specialist. And he's also an exercise physiologist and inclusive fitness trainer. Needless to say, Mike knows his stuff. Mike works with Central District Health. He coordinates their Fit and Fall Proof, or FFP, program. That is Idaho's own evidence-based falls prevention physical activity program. Among his other duties, he also trains new FFP instructors and provides home safety checks. It is in that capacity that I am proud to ask you to give your attention to Mike Rice.
Slide 16.
Starting my career with seniors as quote my specialty, rather than becoming just a gym rat and giving up football and basketball coaching. When I was a kid, Mrs. Fletcher, I fell in and I can't get up. We'd all laugh on the, me and the guys laughing on the floor. They get, ha ha ha, that's really funny. Even though I, had grandmothers worked, with seniors, and then I started doing this, realized, no, that is just serious as heck. It's, a fall, it's dangerous and it's deadly. And at least this commercial, even back in the 80s, got people talking, even though there's comedy skits and Saturday Night Live. People would talk and the seniors got a voice saying, no, this is dangerous. We are worried about this. We're no longer 20-year-olds that can roll around on the floor. It's very dangerous, and it could not just be painful, it could be life-ending. So next slide, please.
Has notes. Slide 17.
Okay, and hopefully today we will be able to open your eyes to some new points of view, ways to look at things. It may seem obvious at first, but until, again, as I was saying, you live it and experience it, you don't quite understand it. And hopefully we can bring some understanding and wisdom to our plan. So next, please.
Slide 18. It's not
the unique thing about humans compared to all of our furry friends, we're bipedal. Rover there won't fall. The seniors are concerned about it. Giraffes, fish, we're the only ones that really worry about falling. And it seems gravity seems such a simple thing, and we have all this technology in cars and hospitals, and we could just simply fall because of old age. And just leaving us with this little quandary. So today's game plan is I'm just going to basically go through like we did with the home visits, and just kind of point out things that we've seen and that we fixed. And these are some of the more common complaints that we had. And so rugs are the biggest one. Rugs can be a huge help or the opposite. They are the leading cause of unintentional injury. I would, just move or replace a rug that's not flat. If it bows at the edge, curls up, probably just remove it. Especially the ones that slip on the floor. If you notice those slides, they give you a rug and you go down the slide. So that could give us a little hint on some rugs. Those heavy mats that are thick and they don't move are the best thing. They're pleasant to stand on, and it can get wet. You can, if you slide a little bit yourself, it's not going to move. It's probably one of the best things right now helping seniors out. So, or you can end up like the poor gent coming through on a linoleum floor, and down you go, unfortunately. So, okay, next, please. Some rugs have been around forever. Got into it with my stepfather about his rugs. He had them since forever, and I don't blame him. But some of the safety things we could do is put a no-slip mat under the rug, and the rug will sit flat, it'll be comfortable, and it just won't slide around. Or there's no slip grip things you can put in the corners, and your rug becomes much safer, even more safer than just trying to tape it down with duct tape. And as a final option, a compromise, hang it up on a wall. They get to see their, memento, and it's up on the wall where they get to enjoy it, and it's safe, and you can get a good safety mat for your senior of concern. Next, please.
Has nouns.
And slippery surfaces. Now that we're not thinking of it now, we're going to be coming into snow and wet weather. And on basic linoleum, regular socks, well, watch kids. They'll just take off, start running and sliding across linoleum. Great when you're a kid, but if you're trying to cook, you could, be very dangerous if you're just trying to walk and live. So they have those stick-em socks, we call them. They have the no-slip surfaces. And you can always just get a good pair of reliable slippers with rubber soles, and it's much more difficult to slip. And again, proper rugs reduce the chance of slipping, and they can help absorb the water. And of course, everyone can pitch in. You can put mops or towels near the entryway and just have everyone wipe their shoes and wipe up whatever snow or whatever spills. Again, it's hard to think of that here, as hot as it's been, but it'll be here in a few weeks. So, okay. Next, please.
Has nouns. Slide 25.
And we're going into the restrooms, the bathrooms. Bathrooms are, unfortunately, high percentage falls in here. It's a very common room. I mean, who doesn't go in the restroom every day? And so it's going to be wet surfaces, especially if you've showered or come out after someone has showered, and they can get cluttered a little bit. Really bad. Towels will fall, shampoo and items will fall, kids' toys, electrical cords if you have your hair dryer or heater in there, and they could just be, just left inadvertently and become a slip hazard. And once again, one of the best solutions is a good solid rug or mat that does not slip. It can help absorb the water and be a good stable surface to stand on. And, next, please.
Has nouns.
And continuing with the restrooms, some of the talking to some of the people, they asked me, some solutions. And of course, you can put the little handheld on the toilet. It doesn't bolt into the walls. It connects to the toilet, so someone can guide themselves up or down. And condensation sometimes just drips onto the floor and causes enough water to be a problem, because when you're using the toilet, you're in a vulnerable position and you're not thinking about slipping, and it can happen then. There's of course rugs and mats that can help prevent that. And one thing I found I wanted to get from any of the people is there's a double edge. It's like a shower curtain, but you turn it sideways. The spring loads, and you can push it to the floor into the ceiling, and it'll give somebody basically a good pole to grab on. She has it positioned well for the toilet and for the shower. They cost under $200, and I think they're great. Again, I was trying to sponsor a few people through our connections to get some of these people those, but didn't quite work. But these are available, and at about $200, I think it's a really good thing and could help prevent a lot of falls, because if you're in a rental house or a temporary housing situation, you can't drill into the wall for safety. That is a good option, and it won't damage the property. And of course, when you're out in public or whatever, you can the person could just use their walker, lock it, and then use it as a handrail to help themselves with the toilet. And bathrooms being small, the serious problem is it's hitting your head when you come out of the shower. You slip. The shower's right there. It's porcelain. Your head is on its way down, and that's just bad news. And just being a smaller room, it's a huge cause of head injury. Unfortunate thing, everyone needs to shower and use the restroom, but if we use these, it's cheaper to go purchase some of this equipment than take the risk. And of course, the sinks, countertops, everything is there, and when your head And if you remember comedian Bob Saget, the home, played TV dad, the home video show, was in the bathroom, had the same slip, hit the tub. He managed to get up, put himself up a bit, but went into his bed, did not report this. And of course, we lost him, and family and fans were devastated. And, it usually takes a celebrity to get everyone's attention, but this could just be anyone. If it can happen to a celebrity, it could be, your loved one, so it's just one of those things. It's unfortunate and preventable. So.
As nouns, slide 30, the math of a slip.
Using the physics, a person that's 5'9", my height, falling at 1 gravity, which is 32.17 feet per second squared, but you don't have to worry about that at 5'9". But even that, you can strike the floor at 20 feet per second, roughly 14 miles per hour. This is about half the speed of high school baseball players swinging their bat. And that's the head of an elder falling to the back of the head, the most vulnerable part, onto the floor. And that's why it's really important to, use safety in the restroom, get those rugs out, handrails. I know the cost at first seems a little bit prohibitive, but if you think of someone's hospital stay and the care of a head injury, it's, it's not a risk.
Slide 31, lighting stairs.
And then lighting and stairways, I put them two together because they seem to go hand in hand on the home safety checks. You find, like you see pictured, that's just, terrible. There's very little lighting. The stairs are not taped or marked off. It looks like there's some kind of strip on there, but still no one can see it. And then the handrail, there's no paint or tape to use it, so people may not think to grab for it. This is really obviously a danger. The light is, especially it's not at the top where you really would need to start your descent down the stairs if you we're going down there, and if you had your handful of groceries or something, it's just not good. Next, please.
As nouns.
And here we have from, actually, you got this from the OSHA website, the ideal stairway. As you can see, there's high contrast. The stairs are each marked off. They're uniform in shape, and the handrail is bolted in sturdy, and you can see it and be able to grab it and use the stairway. Ideally, they would all look like this, but the other one we can make it more like this. There was really not much of an excuse for no lighting and no tape, and no way to mark it off. So.
As nouns, slide
and ironically, lights being too bright, it can cause glare, and you're going to turn away from it, and then you could step and trip, especially near tables. The bright wood or paint could just reflect it and just blind someone that they just turn and not look, and you trip over a chair or something. You can use decorative tablecloths to cover up the brightness. And when it's not the sun, place your lamps so they just don't flash right into your face. This ends up a lot of times a problem in bedrooms. The overhead light flares right into the person's face. And then you can use shades or lower the intensity of your bulbs. And sometimes there's a warm color option in some modern lamps, or you can purchase those types of light bulbs with warm colors. Those are really good. Okay, so use enough light, but again, not too much. Night lights are great. We handed those out during our home safety visits. A dark room or a hallway, they're not just shown in scary movies for just for no reason, because we always think of a scary hallway at night. With Halloween coming up, someone will jump out at you to be silly. But if you're senior living alone, especially, it could be a problem. It could be a shoe. Anything could inadvertently get there. So nightlight, the research has showed the ideal color is red. It contrasts well with everything, and you can see it. And plus, red does not disturb your sleep rhythm like bright white light will. It's just your body thinks, oh, it's time to wake up. I see bright light, but red seems to mute that. So if a person needs to be up, use the restroom or whatever, red is a better choice. And for some, it sets a really, comfortable mood. They like the color red. And for those that think red is alarm, because you have stop signs, emergency vehicles, venomous snakes, they're all red, you can go with a muted blue. That'd be the second choice. It may possibly, a few things you can't see, but it's a good second choice, and your person will be able to see if they need to get up in the middle of the night.
As notes.
And an emergency light near the bed, just one of those lights you tap and it comes on, are ideal because they hear something, see something, or need to get up out of bed for whatever reason. It's quick, it's convenient, and they'll use it because it's not, you don't have to flip your thumb around looking for a little switch. They'll just tap it, it's on, they're safe, they can go do what they need to do and get back in bed. Or a mini flashlight or something that is just basically use the light to be convenient. A little flashlight works as well. Take it in the bathroom, and you can pretend you're out camping or whatever. So, and again, night lights, I do recommend the type that have the rechargeable batteries. So when the power goes out for whatever reason, it comes on, and your person has access to light. They can still plug it, take it with them. So. And luckily now with phones, even seniors are getting phones, you can just hit the light option and the camera light comes on and gives them a little light. Moving on to home modifications. This was a big one during the safety visit, especially for the people that lived in their house for decades. They made changes. Again, when you're a 30-year-old, with a little bump in the carpet, you don't think anything of. You're 60-year-old, you now have a cane or a walker. All of a sudden it was a big problem. And of course, they weren't going to give up their home. The best we could do is get them a little ramp, tape it off, light it up better. But still, like if you were in a wheelchair or walker going up and down that ramp, if that was the kitchen to the living room, that's really going to be an issue. So it's just kind of think and plan ahead. And I'd say, spend the money now so you're not spending it on your health later. So. But
As notes. Slide.
Furniture arrangement. The picture of a young person, as you can see, a young person won't think that much of furniture arrangement. They're just happy to have furniture and be in college or whatever. But by the time you're 60-year-old, you don't think of as much of how basic, your furniture can be. And it just becomes more risky over time. And furniture, of course, is expensive. You only really want to buy it once, even, go into the youth ranch or whatever. So, and we often just deal with it because we just deal with it every day. Next, please.
As notes. Slide 39.
The sentimental value furniture. What if grandma's chair is broken? Well, the options you can go ahead and pay to have it repaired. It could be her Christmas present or something. Or if not, you could just move it to another part of the house. One time we just did that. We moved it to her bedroom and put a stuffed bear from her granddaughter in it. That way she got to see it and enjoy it. And it was out of the way, not being unsafe where someone could sit and crash into it and break. You could give it to a family member if it's over with Uncle John or whatever. It's still in the family and safe. And hopefully you can come up with options to avoid an unpleasant confrontation, because especially if you had it for years, it has sentimental value. Grandma or grandpa wants to keep it. We don't blame them, but these are some options we found to use so we could avoid any unpleasantness. Okay.
As notes. Slide 40.
Questions probably ask yourself about when you buy furniture or helping an older adult place their furniture. Does it block access to the window, blinds, and shades? I've always crawled over the couch and did that myself to move the shades or move the fan. Okay, is the furniture pushing a rug up so it becomes a trip hazard? I've seen and done that a lot. Can you people just sit and stand without obstruction? You know, the coffee table could be in a terrible place because you'd like to put your feet on it, or other miscellaneous things, or it's just simply full of items. So that's another thing to be aware of. Traffic flow through, is it logical? It makes sense, safe. So sometimes around the TV, you make almost an obstacle course, and it looks just like that. And the bottom slide, that looks like my college daughter's room. There's just no way would be safe for really anybody, even her. So, just. And here's, excuse me, the miscellaneous. There's always pets. Well, pets, their companionship is huge for anyone, even people who are single, living alone. Fido or Fluffy is very important, and then there's just no way you'd ask them to part with them. But they like to be close to their owners, and they often just lay there quietly. You don't think, you get up to get some coffee or something, and you stepping on Fido, and over you go. And now you're, both might be facing an injury. So some basic solution is a brightly colored, or perhaps a bell collar, something that really stands out and it's big. Your pet may not be happy at first, but it's a good safety call. And you can train a pet to sleep in a specific bed. The cats don't typically do that as well as dogs, of course. But at night, a pet can be placed in a specific room or area with their, litter box, food, and such. And so they're not a fall hazard at night. And if you get a new pet, you can consider getting a breed or color that contrasts your carpeting or your furnishing and such. So those are just things. And then when talking to the senior of concern, just absolutely reassure him you're not taking Fido or Fluffy, you're just making your room safer so both of you are safe.
As notes, slide 40.
And then always back to the basics. These cords are always going to be a thing with our technology. It's great, but sometimes you forget to put the vacuum away, or you just don't think, you plug in the TV and it's running across the middle of the room. There are things to be considered. If it's a trip hazard to you, it would be for your older adult in your house. Basic clutter, just always clutter. It just again, some people live like a college room for the rest of their lives, and it's really just not safe to do that. And also morale. People like an organized room. It just brings up your morale. It's more home-like. And then there's, again, checklists if we can get. And again, you can always request a free home audit. Having a third eye going through and listing things for you can be a huge help. Again, fit and fall coordinators do it. I'm sure the hospitals do it. They send nurse and places, social workers. We've got tons of resources to get a home safety check. And of course, again, it'll be easier and not time consuming to prevent a fall than to have one.
Slide 45, document 6 words.
And I appreciate your time and hope you found this useful and somewhat entertaining. And again, we apologize for the glitches, but if you have any questions, please feel free. I think you're still muted, Aaron.
Audio now unmuted.
It told me I was not muted, but I guess I was. I was just saying how much I enjoyed your slide, and I nodded and was going about lots of things that you talked about. Almost every slide there was something that either I or my family or somebody I know has done or has had challenges with. I really like some of your recommendations for pets, because I think that's one of the biggest ones. You know, most, I shouldn't say most, many people have a pet, feel like, you know, they don't have a good life without a pet, and then as they grow older, they become companions. But like you said, they tend to come, especially cats, sit or lay down right behind you and you don't know it. So the bill's on a collar. The one I really liked was contrast. Can you talk a little bit more about contrast in general and why that's important?
Sure. I'm kind of noticing it. I turned 55 this fall and my eyes are just not what they were. And sometimes I just need a little brighter reading lights. But, you know, if you have brown carpet and brown cat, camouflage works in nature, so it'll work in your house at the unfortunate times. But if you can, I know it'll mean vacuuming a little more, say if you have white carpet and a black cat, but you're not going to miss, you know, seeing a black cat. And I have a bell on my cat, and that's helped out a lot. I know where he is, and get up in the morning, and cats like to just do bizarre things for no reason. I can see or hear, because they'll at least look at me when I get up at night and ring it enough. I know about where he is and won't trip on him, because even in my 20s, I've tripped on my dogs and cats. And for another cat, we actually had to, there was a third restroom we never used. We put in a bed and food and stuff, and every night the cat went in there, and then it was not an issue till we woke him up, you know, in the morning. But you know, contrasting, that's kind of like the red light, because it'll turn green a darker color, but if, you know, green light to green, it's harder to see. Red, because we don't have a lot of red things, it contrasts it as a night light. So even it'll also reflect Fluffy's eyes a little more. So anything to help you see, even if Fluffy's orange, it's going to stand out to a red night light. And so you won't trip up, you know, if you need a midnight restroom trip.
Without tripping as you go for your restroom trip, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah, definitely.
In the Q&A, we had somebody who wondered if you knew of any resources that people could use if they don't have the finances to make some of the changes that you were talking about.
I was hoping to pull Bill Gates from a burning building, and then I could fund this for us all. We've tried, and then with COVID, I even friends with people that work at Home Depot, and they're like, we just don't got the funding to do that this time, because it's hard to find workers and hard to get supplies in. So I've not had a lot of, like, some, if you're a member of a church, you can always bounce it off the pastor. Then maybe somebody in your church that's a handyman and has some extra wood or something to help, you know, put the handrails in. The handrails are not expensive. It's just finding, you know, where to drill them in, and you need, you know, somebody really competent to do that. And then if you have a rental, I wish I could scholarship people, you know, that double pole thing, because that, it really held pretty solid, and was a good option. So
I think the pole is a good idea too. You're absolutely right, though. A lot of us, especially in rural communities, have some type of organizations. Often it's churches. It could even be the fire departments that are willing to help. I know our fire departments often do both light bulb replacement and checking on your smoke alarm batteries free of charge. So that's kind of a good thing. And I was going to say, I have to do kind of a self plug that the Commission on Aging and your area agencies on aging do have a chore program. Unfortunately, it is very underfunded, but the purpose of that is to make some of these small modifications as well. And there are actually a lot of things in the works across the state because of COVID. If you can say there was one good thing from COVID, it was that it brought attention to the fact that some people who are in their homes and are isolated in their homes
need to have safety put in, and they can't always afford to do so safely. So those are all some options. Do though, like Mike said, be very careful. If you're going to install something like a grab bar, it needs to be able to obviously support your weight plus in order to be safe. You don't want to rely on a grab bar and then have it fall out of the wall. So make sure it's installed correctly. Very, very good. All right. I'm going to ask this question. Can you tell us how physical activity and fall risk interrelate, and how people might be able to do something about that, even if they tend to be more homebound than others?
Sure. When I started as a PE major back in the day, basically you say the prime directive of PE majors is specificity. And it very means your body adapts very specifically what you asked it to do. And the opposite of that means if you don't use it, you lose it. And we're pretty much a desk-bound society, and we become very good at just sitting on our backsides. We start losing, atrophies away the ability to stand. You see other cultures, they sit on floors, they'll sit on rugs, and it just takes more effort to do that. And so they maintain a little better in other cultures. So if you maintain that strength and balance, essentially Fit and Fall is practicing balancing. We do funny walks. It's entertaining, but you might think just simply standing side to side and shuffling has anything to do with it. But when you go out on ice or have icy stairs and you're good at shuffling side to side, your odds of a fall are down. If you could stand up out of a chair, that's a standard measurement most everybody doing senior care does to see your function. It goes hip and quad strength, everything you would need to stand. And if you could stand efficiently and not be falling around and wobbling, your years of life are greatly extended. There's a study out there called the Grim Reaper study. I hate telling people about it because they're a Grim Reaper, but they found the Grim Reaper walks about 3 miles an hour, about 2.8. So if you can walk a 5K in an hour, you're in front of the Grim Reaper. And deaths from all causes of any age are much lower if you can outwalk or outrun the Grim Reaper. So it's just one of those statistical things. The Australians were curious to how fast the Grim Reaper walked and come up with this study. And it's pretty reliable because independent at home, if you can get up and walk, get yourself to the restroom, get yourself, your dinner or whatever, your independence and, is that much longer. And being stronger and more balanced, of course, helps that too. I mean, age is something that's going to catch us eventually, but we can hold it off longer. And because you're practicing balancing, you're practicing walking. Walking is so underrated, but if you just get up and do that and stay active, that's a huge, just a huge thing.
I concur absolutely. And that's actually the perfect lead in for our Thursday seminar, which is called Simple Steps, which is about at-home exercises you can do to do just what Mike said. Just be active. If you can just move, no matter what kind of movement you're doing, that is one of the best way to prevent falls. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time, partly because of some technical difficulties. I'd like to thank all of you, though, for attending and being patient with us, and Mike for being patient as well, as he didn't have some slides to begin with. Want to remind everybody that your local area agency on aging is your one-stop resource for information on falls prevention, as well as programs like congregate meals or home delivered meals, transportation, chore, homemaker. So contact your AAA. Also be sure to join us for our next 3 seminars, all coming up this month, that are on the website. Again, the website, which also has your resource guide, recordings, and a bunch of other material, is aging.idaho.gov. /falls, FALLS. Thank you, everybody, and we hope you have a falls-free rest of your day.
Thank you for joining us. This has been a production brought to you by the Idaho Commission on Aging, supporting well-being for aging Idahoans since 1968. For more information on resources to stay at home, stay healthy, stay safe, and to stay informed, visit our website at www.aging.idaho.gov.